Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, and today is going to be my first update of my Pan those eyeshadows, which is so exciting. I look the same that I did in like my past two videos, but it's fine. I filmed a Auric first impressions, which is up on my channel, so go check that out. I love it all, but I also just filmed my Project Pan update, which is my normal collection, and I had a great progress on everything in there, so if you want to check that out, it's on my channel. It's probably the most recent video, but anyways, this is the Pan those eyeshadows. So, like I said in my Project Pan update, I wasn't wearing makeup as much as I'd hoped. I think I only put on makeup like 15 times this month, and I didn't use all of these eyeshadows that much because I had a lot of new stuff coming in, or I just was kind of not putting on makeup, and when I would, I just was in the mood to try something new. So, not best progress, but I did hit pan in something, which is so exciting, and I think I might roll one or two shades out, which I know is against the rules because I didn't use it 30 times, but also this is my project. I want to keep it fun and rotate through my palettes. So I also want to change how I rotate through things for now. So originally I was doing it where I was rotating through every single pan in my collection, so something like a Natasha Denona palette had a much higher chance of getting picked rather than like a quad. So I think the goal for me is not necessarily to have pans and like a bunch of different eyeshadows. I think for me, I'd rather rotate through my palettes, and I think ultimately I would love to have a pan in every palette. So that might change, especially as I like keep going through this, but a pan in every palette would be the ultimate goal. So maybe in the future, if there's a shade that I roll that I don't like in that palette, I will just re-roll to get a different shade in the same palette. But let's just get into it. So I'm going to start with the most exciting thing. Actually, no, I'll go in order. So the first palette that I had was the Colourpop Mandalorian palette. I had the shade Right Hand Mando, which is this shade right here. I unfortunately only used this 5 times. That's the least used shadow in here. You can't see any progress also because like I don't need much of this shade, and I think this would take so long to hit pan on, but yeah, there's like no progress. But this did excite me a lot because it made me really like grays on me. So I have other grays in my collection that I do want to use, and this inspired me to use it, but like I didn't make any visual progress, but to me I felt good about this. I also used this green with it a ton, and this kind of centered a lot of my looks that I used every shade in. I will put up a picture where I described it already, but I used the matte transition shade from my Natasha Denona Tropic. I used Right Hand Mando on the inner portion of my lid. I used the Natasha Denona Glam on the outer portion of my lid, and I used Huda Beauty Gold on my lash line, and then my single shadow in my inner corner. Did that a few times. I also switched that up where I would use this green, which is Float Your Crib, on the outer corner. In pictures it ended up looking a lot lighter, but in person it added a little bit of something and a little bit of green, and I loved it. So I think I am going to keep this shade in because I only used it 5 times. I would at least like to use it 10 times, so maybe if I hit the 10 by the next month, I will roll it out, which is against the rules because it's not 30 times, but I don't care. But I still want to use this palette more. I still haven't used it to where I feel satisfied, so I will keep this in just to use the palette more. So that's not much progress on this palette, but I still felt like I did good, and I was really excited by this. Next is Chantecaille Cheetah, which I kind of dipped in the same place every time. I dipped in up here, and I used this one 13 times, which I only wore makeup like 15 times, so that's pretty good. I didn't wear it on my lid ever just because I always wanted to use something else on my lid, but I think this was nice having in there because I could use it really consistently. I am going to roll it out just because it's a single shadow, and with my single shadows I think I just want to use them less. I'm not sure. I think I want to do 4 palettes and 1 single shadow, but I did enjoy having this in, but I don't feel the need to hit pan on it or use it more because I do love this shade. But I'm going to roll that one out. Again, I use this on the inner corner with every one of my looks, so there's nothing special with that shade. Next is the one I hit pan on. It's the Huda Beauty Gold palette. I posted a little bit of a sneak peek on this one. I used this, I think, about 13 times as well. And like the only reason I hit pan on this is because it is pretty powdery, and I dipped into the same spot every time. So I didn't just like do that. Like I naturally did this every day because I was using an eyeliner brush and just applying it on my lash line. I did build it up a little bit so that I could get more use out of it, and I applied, again, I went in the same spot every time, and there was a little bit of kickback, which is why I could hit pan on it within a month. Don't think I could ever do that again, but here's what it looks like. Little baby pan. Little baby pan. It's on my Instagram as well, but started with like no progress, and now you can see that little bit of pan, and that makes me really happy. So I can roll this one out. Really glad I hit pan on that one. I used like this gold, like the yellow one. I'm pretty sure I used that in January. I used it, yeah, I definitely used that in January, but I was glad I had this palette in. I liked having the liner shade because this was another one that I could just use no matter what the look was, and it would go with everything. So really, really happy with my progress on this one, and I'm going to roll that one out. Next is Natasha Denona Glam. It's the shade Outer Eyelid, which is right here. I used this 6 times, which is not as much as I wanted. But the problem was the shade is very much like it goes with these cool tones and neutrals. And I got the Natasha Denona Love this month, and I was just wearing like single shadows too, and it made it so that way this type of color didn't go with everything. It is right here. You can see like where my finger went in, but I'm not close to hitting pan or anything. I think I might roll this one out too, which I know is against the rules, but just because I want to use this, actually what I think I'll do is I'll roll this shade out, but I'll keep this palette in and just roll for a different shade, just because this is a shade that was really hard to use with all of my looks, which I know is not the rules of pan those eyeshadows, but like I don't care. I don't care. It's my channel. If you don't like it, then bye. But I don't know, I really like this shade, and I love this shade. It's one of my favorites in the palette. It's just hard to feel inspired when I feel like I have to do the same look with this shade every time. So I am going to roll that shade out, but I will keep the Natasha Denona Glam in because I love this palette. It's just like I use this on my outer lid to add a little bit of smoke, but I didn't feel like doing that with my really pink looks and my really warm looks. So I still want to use this palette a bit more because I still feel like I haven't used it enough. And then last is Natasha Denona Tropic. It's the shade Sahara, which I used 8 times. I'm gonna insert a picture, but like you can see the progress as far as like you can see that my brush went in it multiple times, but like there's no dent. The Natasha Denona shadows are so hard to pan, but I'm going to keep this one in here because it is a really great shade to do with like any look. I didn't use it today. I didn't use any of these today. I did go in with this vintage taupe shade, but I do want to see progress on this shade, even though I know it's gonna be so hard. These pans are so deep and you barely need any, so I don't think I'm gonna hit pan on it, but I do want to use it 20 times. I think that's what I'm gonna do, is change my usage goal to whatever I feel like it. That doesn't make any sense, but like for each shadow, I'll set my own personal goal. So for this one, I think I want to do 20 times using this shadow, and for the Mandalorian, I want to do 10, 15, we'll see where we're at next month, but do want to get at least 1 more month's use out of this. Maybe I'll keep this in until I hit pan, but I know it's going to be so hard to do that. So anyways, so we're keeping in the 2 shades, and I will swatch them now. We're keeping in Right Hand Mando, which is like a silver shade, but it's not super silver. It's just more cool toned. Honestly, it works with a lot of different looks. And then Sahara from Natasha Denona Tropic, which is like a yellow brown. Looks like that. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll 1 through 15 to see what color from the Glam that I want to use. I know it's cheating, but I still want to use this palette. So I rolled the number 15, which is this one right here. It's called Brow Bone, which looks like it'll be a good replacement for Chantecaille Cheetah. Oh, that is super powdery. This is like silk from the bronze where your finger just goes right in. So I think I could probably see good progress in this if I use it on my lid, but that's the shade right there. It is kind of similar to this Colourpop one, but just a little bit more warm. It's like a pink champagne shade. I don't think I've actually used that like on my lid, so that's really exciting. I think I could get some good use out of it. That's definitely more pink than I thought. I'm definitely not using that on my brow bone, but I think in the inner corner that'll work, but I definitely want to use it a little bit on my lid. I think it'll go all right with the matte shade. I like to mix the matte shade also with some of the other shades to kind of change the undertones. So really like that shade. And now we have these 2, which we're putting back completely. So I'm going to I think what I'll do is I'll roll for another palette and then I'll roll for a single eyeshadow. So I have 18 palettes on this list. I have one more on the way, which of course I do, but I rolled number 1, which is my M Cosmetics Divine Skies. Easy. Don't even care what shade it is. So there are 6 shades in here, and I'll start with this one and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Roll the number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is this shimmer at the bottom, which I actually want to get more use out of. Here it is swatched. It's like a warmer, more copper version of this one right here. Wow, that's gonna be so pretty, especially for Valentine's Day. These two on the lid, that'll be so pretty. And this one I can like tap on top to kind of add a little bit of lightness. And then for the matte, I'll just use the matte, but I'll probably mix it with a pinkier shade to kind of lighten the undertone. But that's so lucky. That's very pretty, and especially for February, I love that. Okay, and then the last one I will roll for is a single eyeshadow, and currently I have 21. So I rolled number 4, but that's actually very similar to a shade I already have in here. Number 4 is this matte brown, and it's also from Natasha Denona, and it's very similar. So I'm going to roll for something else. Okay, so I rolled number 19. Number 19 is Hourglass Scattered Light in the shade Smoke. Let me swatch it for you. We have a lot of shimmers this time, so I don't think I'll see as much usage, but that is very pretty. It's a little bit more cool toned, but I still think this with a combination of this shimmer right here, so these 3 or the top and bottom, will look really nice. I think I'm just going to do a usage goal. I'll see where I'm at next month, but these 2 are going to stay the same what I said before. So like 10 to 15 for the Colourpop one, and then probably like 20 to 30 on this one. Natasha Denona Glam, again, like 15 to 20 probably. Same with the M Cosmetics. And I think for the Hourglass one, I will do 10 times just because it's a single and I want to use some other things, but I'll do 10 times for that. But that's so exciting. So here's the color story. It's not too different, but I think it leans a little bit more pink, but still has those cool aspects, and I think it'll be super pretty for February. I am going to want to use my Natasha Denona Love a lot this month, but I think that these will go together nicely. Okay, so this is the color story. Actually really excited for that. It gets to switch it up a little bit and make it a little bit more exciting. So if you want to see my updates for these, be sure to subscribe. I also have a playlist down below of all of my Pan Those eyeshadows and my Project Pan videos if you are interested. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!